All right. Now we're back on the channel again with another very special guest, Mr. Caden, who is a pitcher at Embry-Riddle, right, down in Florida?
That's correct.
Nice. So, Caden, for people who don't know who you are, just give us a little backstory on you.
So I am Caden Calcayo. I'm originally from Boulder, Colorado, and now I'm out here in Florida. I'm a pitcher here at Embry-Riddle, and I'm studying aerospace engineering. So looking to go into the aeronautical field, work on rockets, work on planes.
There we go.
And I started the program, I want to say 2 years ago. Graduated from Boulder High School, and that's me.
Sweet. So we'll go ahead and get started. And so first thing I want to ask you is, before starting in our program, what were maybe your biggest frustrations about your training or your performance prior to coming in with us? Because you came in basically right before college. You just graduated high school, more or less.
Yeah, I want to say the first I saw you was when I was with the Collegians, and my coach had said that you guys are who the team was partnering with, and so that was the first that I had learned of you guys. But beforehand, my biggest frustration was definitely getting the right pitching help. I think I jumped around with pitching coaches so much in my high school years, and I never kind of really found one who I felt gave me so much useful information and stuff that I could apply to in game, and that I would see so much progress with. And I also had a lot of frustration with performance wise with my velocity and my weight and my size, for sure. Nobody really told me how to put on weight or get bigger or use what I got, I'll say. So yeah, I never really got the help I needed. I want to say with the other programs, it was always just kind of here's your program, now you got to do it. And I never really had that kind of one-on-one help that I felt like I was really looking for, until I came to your program, to FAST.
Can you describe a moment maybe in your early career, before you started coming in with us, where you felt maybe you doubted your potential of what you obviously you've turned yourself into in the last few years, or maybe where you felt stuck in your development?
Yeah, I would say for me, that was kind of my whole junior year of high school. We had a really good year when I was a sophomore, and me and a few of the other sophomores were looking like we were going to be some good names as juniors, and I even played some varsity games as a sophomore, and I was really excited going into my junior year and kind of playing on varsity, and I did make varsity, but then it kind of just – it wasn't the start that I wanted, and it led to me not playing. My pitching wasn't there. I would get pitched against, the small schools that weren't even in our, the same class as us or same conference. And, I was the same exact velocity. Nothing had really changed. My hitting actually got worse, and I just felt kind of stuck. I felt like I put on 20 pounds over my entire junior year, but it still was almost as if I saw no change. And I didn't know what happened. And hit maybe 150 on the season, pitched maybe 10 innings. And it was just, it was hard because I really was hoping for it to be the season that I can, prove myself on varsity, but it definitely wasn't that. I just felt stuck, I plateaued, didn't know how I was going to end up or what I needed to change.
So what did that feel like? You came in with a bunch of confidence, and then you have this moment. What did that do to your confidence or your motivation?
I mean, it was kind of devastating. It was like a shutdown. Yeah. I was hopeful and then when you are hopeful and then things just don't go your way, it's just it's a blow to the chest, and it's kind of like a setback. And it's exactly how I felt. I felt like I was set back and felt like I kind of needed like a reset.
So, like, this is a little bit of a weird question because you were almost kind of thrusted into the program before. Like, it wasn't like you really, like, Coach Tony didn't really give you a whole bunch of options. I mean, you guys had options, but what was the, when you decided to, like, really kind of go full force into what we do, you had, I'm sure you had pitching coaches. People on the collegians didn't necessarily come straight directly to us, full time like you did. What was the, what made you choose, like, hey, these are the guys that are going to help me?
Well, kind of like how I said it earlier with, like, I never felt like I got that one-on-one coaching help. That's kind of exactly what I felt like the moment that I, like, got in the facility and, like, stepped on the indoor mound. Like, I felt like the coaches were right behind me, watching me, offering me help, showing me what I was doing. It was nice to see, like, the metrics and it was also the atmosphere of it. Everybody in there was, like, really tightly knit and, like, always offered each other support, and I felt all the support. And it was just it was nice to be in a facility where when I was there and when I was pitching, I was kind of like the center of attention. And I don't want to, like, seem like I like to be the center of attention, but it was just nice for, like, people to actually show me what I was doing and be there immediately when I needed the help, which, in my past programs, it was just, coaches wandering around as I'm throwing a bullpen or as I'm doing pull downs, and they're not really telling me what to do differently, or they're talking to me or yelling at me from across the facility and things like that. And so just feeling like I had the coaches right behind me and giving me their support was, like, what I mainly enjoyed and why I stuck with it.
Was there, like, an initial skepticism? Like you said, like, you had bounced around coaches before and you didn't really find some people that you vibed with, right? Like, when you came in, it's, you had me, you had Jason, you had Sean, who's now coaching Division II baseball down in South Carolina. But, was there an initial skepticism, but just like, okay, what's the odds that this is going to be like everybody else that I've worked with in the past?
There was definitely, I mean, I think I kind of always have skepticism. I think that's kind of normal too.
That's the engineer in you.
Right. And also just, like, I think it's pretty common just to, try something new and to, like, wonder, like, if it's going to work or, like, what's going to be different about it. But I would say I definitely was at first, but even after that first time being there, I was not skeptical at all.
So the first session was where we changed your mind?
Yeah, absolutely.
Nice. So what convinced you, like, right off the bat, beyond just, the vibe and the, hey, we gave you all the information that we gave you, but what convinced you that this was going to be a different program compared to everything else you had done?
So what convinced me that it was going to be a different program is probably just how, like, individualized it was. Like, in my past programs, it just kind of seemed like it was the same thing for everybody. Like, everybody needed to follow the same thing. But when I was there, and, like, the first week that I was there, you guys had me do, like, the mobility testing and all this thing, and it kind of made me realize that there is a difference between every pitcher, how everybody moves, and you guys want to know that, because then you guys created a program for me that was not the same as everybody else, and you guys didn't teach me the way you taught everybody else.
All right. So moving into, like, how the program has worked for you, how do you feel this program is specifically, everything you talked about with your struggles in your junior and senior year in high school, like, what were the things that we did that helped you overcome all those struggles that you had mentioned before? Kind of maybe something like, man, if only I had had this in high school, where could I have been?
Yeah.
But what was that piece?
That's definitely how I felt. Like when I was in the middle of like my training and starting to like feel a lot of progress, I felt like I was like, this is what I was missing the whole time. But I would say that it was. Can you say the question one more time?
So yeah, like how did this program specifically help you overcome the struggles that we just talked about earlier?
Right. It definitely kind of it changed the way I went about how I wanted to pitch, and it got me completely over all of my fears, and all the coaching help was it was super insightful, and it really allowed me to see like every kind of like working piece of pitching and being a thrower, and I felt the main thing what I think was like the knowledge. So like before, I just kind of people taught me, this is how pitching works. This is, your hips fire, this moves. But then, when I came into your program, I kind of learned like I learned a little bit more of like the in-betweens and the things that really cause the small differences. And when I focused on those, you guys helped me focus on those, was kind of what led me to see a lot of improvement. And then in that improvement, my confidence skyrocketed. I was happy with where I was at. I was no longer like worried about what was behind me and how my performances were. And it also wasn't just pitching. Like I could talk about like the mental side of pitching and all that was, mental is the biggest game you face in baseball. And so, but even that was extremely, it changed when I was in your program for the better.
You're such an engineer, dude. Well, because it makes me think like that's the way you're buzzing, right? In old programs, like they just kind of like, hey, just do this and it works,
right?
And you're kind of sitting there like, well, how? Why?
Right.
How does it work? And you never, and you being just your engineer brain is like, I've got to figure out why this works and the way it, how it operates. What are the principles behind it? And I mean, I'm happy that we filled those gaps for you as well as we did. Can you think of a signature moment where, like, what was the moment that you were like, everything kind of clicked for you? Like, okay, this all makes sense. And, where'd it go? There it is. All right. What was the moment in the training process that we've been working on the last 2 years now that, like I said, everything kind of clicked? Like what was that moment and what happened?
So that moment was definitely the winter when I came back after my freshman fall here in college. It was that winter when I came back and I was like, I wasn't on my college team at that point. I had played on the club team and I was like, well, they didn't take me on in the fall, but I'm hitting it hard this winter. I'm like balls to the wall. Like I'm going crazy. Like I want it. And so there was a moment, like as soon as I came back, like I still felt as strong as I was. And then I remember towards the middle and towards the end, we started these live at bats, and I was worried for the live at bats because the club team never faced anybody really good, and so I hadn't seen that caliber of players since the summer. But that was kind of the defining moment, was when I went into those live ABs, kind of nervous and wondering what the outcome would be. But then, walking out of it like, wow, okay, first of all, I PR'd. Second of all, like my confidence is up. Third of all, I can hang with those guys. Like those were all like Division 2, 3 guys that like I had a performance against, and that's kind of when it clicked. Like my wind up felt good, my stretch felt good, my pitches felt good, the turning moment, was those live ABs in that winter.
If you had to compare the pitching style or your approach to your game pre joining the program with the collegians versus now, what are the differences?
Pitching style beforehand was definitely more like almost like introverted. Like I was
a little timid, more or less, or
definitely timid. Like I questioned my pitches. Like, oh, is this the right pitch to throw? Is this the right pitch to throw? What is this batter gonna do? It was definitely timid. But now it is like I have full confidence in all of my pitches. Like I know what I want to throw. I kind of have a plan. I have a plan going into every at bat, every inning, which I didn't have beforehand. It was just kind of go and throw because I'm needed. And now it's set plans, set goals every single time I step on the bump. And I'm not timid anymore. You know, I want to be aggressive and I want to go right at these guys and also throw strikes was the biggest thing. As soon as I got over the fear of just throwing it, honestly, right down the middle was when I saw a lot more confidence.
What do you think is like the clearest proof that in your time as training that you know that the training has worked for you? You know, whether it be velocity gains, command improvements, like you just touched on, you know, making the team over at Embry-Riddle, or what's like maybe another big milestone that's like this worked, right?
90 over the summer. It was. That was definitely the time where I was like, wow, all this has worked, because like my very first bullpen in your program was like I was 83.
Yeah.
It was like 83.6. I feel like I remember.
You came in, I was like, oh, here's a kid right out of high school. He's raw, but yeah.
Right. And then like the end of the summer, I think I was like 85, 86. And then like I put on weight, I gained all this confidence. And then my mechanics changed a whole lot. And then winter, still had those small improvements. And then in that spring, I remember my exit meeting with my coaches, and they were like, we think, you know, we didn't see you a whole lot, but, like you did a really good job. You know, you're high, you were up to like 87.6 at one point, and I was like, okay, that's a nice number, but that's you know exactly what I was over the winter. And then my very first bullpen, I came back. I remember, like the first bullpen was like I think I topped like 87 or 88, and then after that, I didn't know if I could do it, and then it was one day where I was like just warming up, and I threw the ball like 80 miles an hour maybe, but it was like the easiest throw ever. And I was like, okay, it's happening today. And then when I hit it, I was like, it's full circle now. Like this is where I want to be. And it was 1 year, 7 miles an hour difference. Like that's where I realized.
What'd you say how would you think those results compare to what you thought was possible when you started?
When I started, I didn't really, I couldn't even imagine myself throwing 90 ever. I always kind of looked up, like, you know, I know one of the big things that I looked at was like the 90 mile an hour formula. Mm-hmm. And because that was going around a lot, and I was like, oh, well, I can do this and I can do this. So I check off all these boxes, but I don't check off these boxes, and I hope I will one day. But so I was always skeptical, like, would I even ever throw 90? Like, how would I be in college? But those just were completely flipped 180. Like I really like, I had a goal and I just smashed it. And I kind of like, I surprised myself because I didn't think that it was going to happen or when it would have happened. But then it kind of just did. And, that's kind of what I enjoy about the process, is that you have these goals and sometimes you hit other goals without even, you know, while you're aiming for different ones. Yeah.
So speaking on that point, what is something that you do on the regular now that you would have never thought was possible? Like what you thought was like impossible? Like what's an impossibility that you just do on the regular now?
Something that I do on the regular. I wouldn't say this is something I thought that was impossible, but something that I just like never really like thought to do or imagine myself doing was like I pretty much watch film daily, and I'm always like rewatching videos of myself. And I'm always we practice every day here, and like I'm always like wondering where I can get my dry reps because I'm injured and I can't really do anything. So like it's just every day going out there and like seeing the other guys pitch, rewatching film, just doing that every day is something that like I never thought that I would do. You know, like we had injured guys before and they would kind of just sit the bench and not do anything. And I figured out that's kind of what I'd be doing, but it's not at all.
Interesting. All right. So how do you feel like this program has changed you even beyond the game of baseball?
Beyond the game of baseball, it's definitely just allowed me to kind of be more myself, I want to say. I was always like, oh geez, it's a tough question.
We're going introspective here.
Yeah.
Well, like, how about like, do you notice a change in your confidence? Do you notice a change in maybe your leadership style or your leadership skills, or like maybe just how you approach different challenges?
I would definitely say that, like, obviously my confidence in all areas outside of baseball is up, and the way I see things differently now. And I do feel like I have a different leadership outlook now, because, you know, I was the young guy on the team when I first joined, and I saw improvements, and then I felt like, you know, even though I was a young guy, like I learned a whole lot, and then I felt like I can keep that going and like pass it on. And so like I really like my leadership definitely progressed, and I used that in other areas, because here now, like if I'm in an engineering group, I'll say I might not have the most knowledge, but I still feel like I have good knowledge and worthy knowledge, and that's helpful. So that definitely that leadership aspect is something that grew a lot.
So, because I'd be interested in your answer here, because I know both of them. What would if your parents were here, what would you think they would say about how you've grown since you've joined the program? I know both his parents. They are very lovely people.
What my parents would say. They would say that I'm really – I think my dad would say that I'm more aggressive in a good way. I'm more ready to just kind of be no quit and like not turn in the face of adversity. And so I think like that's kind of what he would say, is that in everything now I just would hit everything really hard and like challenge everything, I'll say.
Okay.
Yes.
So outside of we already said that. Outside of when you hit that 90 for the first time, I'd be interested, is there another signature moment that you realize that all the work that you've put in you know, in the program in the summer, when you're with the collegians, when you're in here, all the stuff that we've talked about, you know, when you were in the process of being on the club team down at Embry-Riddle, and then obviously ultimately make it. Is there a signature moment that you realize that all the work that you put in, it paid off?
I would think that at the end of the summer, before leaving for my freshman year, was also a turning moment. It was the end of a successful summer. And, you know, I had asked you, like, can we just like sit down and like, can we just go over, and can we take one more video, one more, like, look at how I move one more time. But I had really felt like, the summer was everything I hoped for, and more. And, it was not going to be the last time I was going to be in the program for sure. And it definitely, that's where the pieces definitely fell into place there as well.
How did that make you feel? Like, when you think like, okay, where I am is not only where I'm going to top out at, but there's definitely way more to still access. How does that make you feel when you think about it?
I mean, it makes me feel great because I every day that I see improvement with, my arm rehabbing, I get excited for the next week, because I know next week I'm going to have even more improvements, and the week after that I'm going to have more improvement. And that's how I felt at the end of the summer. Is I'd seen all that improvement over the summer, and I knew, the fall might be a little slow because I wasn't training as much or playing as much. But then when I came back, like, I was going to pick up just where I left off, and I was going to see those improvements day to day and week to week. And I was just excited, and I looked forward to being back and training and seeing all those improvements.
So for someone who's watching this on YouTube or on Instagram, TikTok, all these social media Red Note, if that's a new thing, if that's still going on when this pops off, if there are pitchers watching this and they haven't, they're on the fence about signing up for the program here, what do you think they're missing out on?
I think they're missing out on almost everything. Like, I would say the biggest thing is just the understanding is on a whole new level, and the help is too. And I think not even the sky is the limit in the program. It's so amazing to see, like, what you can start at and then look back at from, like, where you get to look back at and see where you were, and just see like the effort you put in really was just directly correlated to where you ended up. And I think, like, that's the biggest thing that people miss out on, is that they won't, get to see that if they come there, then they put in the effort, then they're going to be so much further down the line and than where they were before. And then they can be so happy when they look back and see the progress that they've made.
What would you say to the player that is on the fence right now, is keeps waiting and kind of procrastinating on it because of maybe a skepticism or a deterrence? But what would you say to them that instead of they're waiting instead of taking action? What would you say to them?
I say probably what everybody says is that these guys know their stuff, and these guys not only help you get better as a pitcher, but they really care about you, and they want to help you, and they want to know where you think you struggle, and they want to attack that, and then they want to give you all this information on where they think you struggle, and they're going to get you to the best player that they think you could possibly be, and all they see is the upside in everybody, and all they do is bring out the best in every pitcher, every player, and it's going to be the most amazing decision of their lifetime if they choose to go that direction.
Oh, Caden, you're so sweet. What would you maybe explain to, and maybe it's something maybe you if you were to speak for your parents, right? Mm-hmm. If you were to talk to a parent about why is this program maybe the best investment in their son's future, what would you say to that parent? Potentially,
I would say it's the best investment that they can make for their child, because I mean, it's so much fun being in that environment as well. And I mean, I know my parents hated seeing me upset after a bad performance or after my poor season junior year and questioning things. But I know they were so happy to see that I was progressing, that I was seeing the improvements that I want to see, reaching my goals. hitting all these, reaching new boundaries and everything. And so that like for my parents, that was one of their like, it made them very happy to see me happy doing what I'm doing. And that's exactly what's going to happen for all these other parents, that if you make this investment, that it is going to make you happy to see your kid improving and putting in the work.
Well, awesome. Caden, thank you so much for taking the time to do this. It's, very helpful, and it means a lot. So I really appreciate you. I mean, you got all your engineering stuff, you got all your baseball stuff that you got to go take care of. But to take the 20, 30 minutes we did to take this really means a lot to me. And I really appreciate you doing this, dude.
Yeah, it means a lot to me too. I'm excited to come back for the summer, and I'll be throwing a little bit by then, but I'm excited for it. And then I appreciate this more than you know.
We'll get you on the mend, and you're going to go kick ass this summer. So
absolutely
awesome. All right. So I'm going to pause or stop the recording, let it, buffer a little bit, and then we can hop off. So let me go stop this real quick.
All right.